The billion-dollar one-person company, it's not real. You've seen the story. AI is about to empower the one-person billion-dollar business. It's exciting. It's everywhere right now. And it's built on confusion and propaganda almost nobody actually fact checks. At Flowloop, we are obsessed with the difference between a business that looks big on paper and one that's actually healthy and profitable. Because we're trying to help 1 million or more people build the real version, not the hype version. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to spot the exact trick behind almost every single one of these billion-dollar single-person stories. And I'm gonna use an example from over a decade ago that you already know about, and I'll use the ones that are happening again right now. So a billion-dollar business sounds as if a business is printing $1 billion, right? But that's almost never what it actually means. And before I explain all of that, you kind of have to know how fundraising works. So when companies are doing fundraising, they invite investors to pay a set amount for a percentage of the company. You're almost never selling 100% of the company. Otherwise, that's considered an acquisition and not fundraising. And whatever that investor pays for that percentage is then extrapolated. And there's now a mathematical formula that says this is the valuation of this company. So if an investor pays $1 million for 1% of a business, then mathematically that business is worth $100 million. So a company's valuation is a small group of investors' bet on the future negotiated price of a company's value, but it has nothing to do with whether or not that company is currently generating that value. Now, this isn't just a new AI era trick that's being used, because it happened over a decade ago with an example that almost everyone already knows. So a few weeks before Facebook announced it was acquiring Instagram for $1 billion, Instagram had just closed a funding round. They raised $50 million at a $500 million valuation. And just 2 or 3 weeks later, Instagram's value inflated to $1 billion plus. Now, what makes Instagram so special, especially that it was pre-AI, is that the entire company only had 13 employees. That's a very small company for a $1 billion plus company. And the jump from $500 million to $1 billion was not because there was any new revenue. In fact, Instagram had no revenue model at the time. Facebook was basically just paying a premium to block out other competing offers from Twitter and Google and anyone else who was trying to acquire this ultra fast growing software called Instagram. But again, there was no revenue model at all. And the exact same dynamic is playing out today, just with an AI era twist to it. So you might have seen Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI and ChatGPT, talk about how the new era of entrepreneur will be a single person, $1 billion or more company. But Sam Altman's roots are actually as the president of Y Combinator, which is an accelerator very well known to try to get their companies to get funding from venture capitalists. And I'll let him say it in his own words.
I think it is probably possible now to start a company that is a one-person company that will go on to be worth like more than $1 billion. And more importantly than that, deliver an amazing product and service to the world.
Now, I don't know about you, but my YouTube feed and social media feed is full of stories about one person or small teams that have built $1 billion business in this new AI era. And the reality is they're losing a lot of money. So if you actually look at the health of their financials, they're spending more money to acquire customers and to acquire their revenue than the actual company is earning. And now that's a very typical thing when you're raising money, you want to invest in growth and things like that. But for a 6-month-old company to have hyper growth in that way without any proven business model and just the ability to get people excited to pay once does not actually mean that they have $1 billion in recurring revenue, though it seems like that. So watch out for this pattern, because when a single person or small team company is described to have this massive number, 250 million, 500 million, $1 billion plus, is it their valuation? Or is it the amount of money that they're earning? Because they are actually two different things. And you might be asking yourself, why am I so passionate about this in the first place? It's because this myth is really dangerous and harmful to early stage founders. And I have to admit, I did the same thing. In my last startup, before I started FlowLoop, I decided to go and raise money, and I got myself in a situation where every time I needed to solve a problem, I needed to raise more money, which means that I didn't really build a business. I kind of built this shell of a business. And I started serving the wrong people. I started serving my venture capitalists and my investors and their agendas before I was serving my actual customers and establishing a replicable customer base in the first place. And the reason that's so harmful is because my quality of life dropped a lot. I actually ended up working for my investors instead of working for myself and my customers ultimately. Because what you end up doing is you start optimizing for the metrics that increase your valuation, the things that get investors excited, and trajectory and growth curve and all these different things that really aren't indicators of whether or not you have a healthy business. But in contrast, FlowLoop's mission is to empower 1 million people to earn $1 million or more a year from their businesses. And we're doing it without any funding whatsoever. We're actually building real products, delivering real value, and funding the growth of our company through revenue. And we want to help empower solopreneurs to do the exact same thing, where you could build that $1 million a year business, but not have any venture capitalists along the way. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-investment, but go and validate your business first. Go and see that there's a foundation and that the fire has started already, and then go and raise money. Plus, you get way better terms when you're raising money when you don't need money. And I think the best part about that is that you actually achieve financial and time freedom today. You don't have to wait 5 or 10 years for some grandiose exit of $1 billion. You could go and not think twice about paying a medical bill, or actually take that holiday with your friends and family, or just read a book on a Sunday afternoon without feeling the pressures of whether or not you're earning or doing enough. And I think it's a really fundamental shift in how I've decided to build FlowLoop versus how I built my previous businesses before that. So I know I'm about to say this crazy radical thing, but $1 million business that actually gives you time and financial freedom today is worth far more than $1 billion valued business that might or might not succeed. And it's taking a risk and it's taking a bet. And I understand that different people have different appetites for risk, but most of us who start businesses, we're actually seeking that time and financial freedom. And a lot of times what ends up happening is we construct our businesses in such a way where we lose the pleasure and we lose the joy, and there's no longevity in that. That's literally what's called burnout. So you're kind of exchanging your 9-to-5 burnout for a kind of burnout that you own-ish, not really. And the reality is the $1 million a year business that gives you time and financial freedom, it's healthy and it actually serves customers, not just the agendas of the VCs. So if you're interested in building your very own $1 million a year business that actually serves customers and delivers value, click on the link in the description and sign up for FlowLoop. There's no risk involved. It's free to sign up. There's no credit card required, and you will actually create your dream business and that aspiration of time and financial freedom without needing investors and without taking on all that extra risk and headache. And if you want to learn why not to build a business based on inventory for your first time around, click on this video and you will save yourself tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, and so many months of your life.